Welcome to a special Halloween episode of Make a Difference with Phil Martelli. I am Jared Phillips alongside Phil Martelli. Phil, I got to ask right off the bat, are you a Halloween guy?
You know what I like? I like standing at the door, handing out the big bars, by the way. Anybody out there? Big bars.
I was going to say, for all the trick-or-treaters out there, yeah.
It's big bars.
The Martelli household is a big bar house, so you want to get there ASAP before you run out.
It's big bars. I don't know that we've run out for years and years. It seems like there's been a decline in the Halloween-ness of the society in this area anyway. But I wasn't a dress-up guy, but I do have something to share about a scary moment in a gym.
There we go. Let's hear it.
October 15th, 1979 was my first day of coaching Bishop Kenrick High School, head varsity coach, age of 23. We practiced for 3 hours and 10 minutes. It's the most scared I've ever been in a gym afterwards. Because after the 3 hours, I went home and I tried to sleep that night. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I was lightly crying. I taught them everything I knew about basketball on that first practice. I had no idea what the hell I was going to teach for the rest of that year. And it's the only team I had in high school that didn't make the Catholic League playoffs. And you know what? It wasn't bad players. They had a bad coach. Luckily, I got smarter later and I got better at my craft.
I was going to say, in nearly 50 years, you learned a few things along the way, right?
I was a little bit scared, and some of those things we'd like to share. So practice do's and don'ts. Whether you are a parent, whether you are a coach, whether you are an avid fan of a program and you go to watch practice, here's just some things I want you to think about. No basketball coach should wear a whistle during practice. No basketball coach should use cliches like, let's try that one more time, because your players know you're not going to do it just one more time. Like the cliche, hardest workers will play. No, best players will play with the hope that they are the hardest workers. No wasted time. Use a script. Next week, we're going to talk about what that script looks like. No running for punishment. Line drills, and I hate using the word suicide drills, 17s. No. You are a basketball coach, not a track coach. Okay? Now, all of your drills should be competitive with consequences. Push-ups, sit-ups, jump rope, but no running. I don't want to hear about running anymore. Do play one-on-one every day. We can talk about that in a later show. There's a lot of ways to play one-on-one, not just park one-on-one that some people would think. No bulk foul shooting. Only foul shooting that is competitive, and never more than 2 at a time. Those that go out there and say, shoot 100. Well, you don't shoot 100 in a game, right? Do transition drills every day. Transition drills works on your offensive game, your defensive game, your competition, and your competitiveness. Count listening turnovers. If you find yourself repeating yourself, that is a listening turnover. That hurts as much as a physical turnover in basketball. When you are in the half court, let them play. So if you're running your offense and the other team steals the ball or you miss a shot, let the other team go. Let them play. They'll give you more effort in the area that you're looking for. Name your drills for efficiency. So if you're going to go into a ball handling drill and you've gotten it from John Calipari, or you think that John Calipari would do it, name it Arkansas. Name it whatever will make it more efficient for your players. And then this is the best one. I thought of this in my sleep last night. Do you practice at the time that you're going to play? At least once. If you're going to play noon games on Saturday, you should practice at least once in the preseason at noon. If you're going to play a 9 o'clock game on a Thursday night, one Thursday night you should practice at 9 o'clock. Then you find out, or the players find out, that their bodies, how it's going to feel during a day. Going to school, when do they eat, how do they eat? But really, a physiologist told me this a long time ago. Practice when you are going to compete. So that's it for practices, do's, and don'ts. Next week, I want to look at our scripts and our format of how we practice. And whatever you do, those ideas resonate.
Do you feel like our guest this week would agree with a lot of those practice do's and don'ts?
He's in the Hall of Fame, so we really should be writing down what he has to say. In fact, our next two guests are in the Hall of Fame. I don't know what the hell they're doing on my show.
Should we welcome him on?
We have to do Martelli Minute.
All right, let's get through Martelli Minute.
Let's get
I know he's waiting
minute.
anxiously.
But we're going to
jump
get him
on the show.
So Martelli Minute. Phil_Martelli, Instagram, brought to us by Status Solutions Network, is committed to making a difference by providing Alicia's Law, compliance safety technology to schools throughout the United States. These are used to ensure that financial barriers never stand between student and proper safety. Each community has the power to create real change. Learn more at statussolution.com. Martelli Minute. You ready, Jarrett?
I'm ready.
Measure yourself by what you give, not by what you have. Who you are much more important than the possessions that you have. Never trade what you want most for what you want now. Never trade what you want most for what you want now. All alcoholics want to get clean, but often they trade that one drink now for what they want most. Build trust by serving. And I can't think of a more apt way to bring on John Calipari. Build trust by serving. He has served. He has served at UMass. He has served at Memphis. He has served at Kentucky. He has served now at Arkansas. He serves the game through being the president of the NABC. Cal's a servant leader. And to me, it's often missed because they see how apt he is as a recruiter and a game manager and promoting of the game, the promoting of his players. My man here is a servant, and I am delighted that he has joined us.
Well, without further ado, we have no choice but to bring him on. We want to welcome on Hall of Fame basketball coach John Calipari. Coach Cal, excited to have you on the show. Welcome on. Thanks for hanging with us, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Phil, what do we do to get ready for 9 o'clock games, like as a coach? Because at halftime, I'm usually in bed. What do we do then?
Cal, I'm right with you. But my wrinkle was the other way. My noon games drove me crazy because I wasn't sure what time to get them up. Do you eat? Do you not eat? Do we do a walkthrough? It would just unnerve me. And this sounds crazy, but Cal, you know we're crazy. The great team in 03-04, the first game we lost was to Xavier at Dayton, noon game in the A10, tournament. And I just had no feel for what to do and how to do it with them. And I often say the setting got us that day as much as Xavier got us, and they were good because they ended up in the Elite Eight also.
No, I think one thing that I was wanting to know, I mean, you guys have been together for so long as close friends. I was always interested just to know how you guys first met. I would love to hear that story really from both sides.
Geez, Phil, we met just through the coaching, the recruiting, coaching against each other. I don't think when I was an assistant, that because I didn't spend much time in Philadelphia. But then we got to coach against each other. You know, the game I remember is when Rigo Nunez took a flop in our building. St. Joe's was beating us the whole game, and he took a flop, and we end up winning that game. And Phil lost his mind. Rightfully so, Phil. rightfully so.
One thing I'm fascinated by is those A10 days. I mean, a lot of battles back in the day between you guys. I mean, how much fun was that? And I just wonder, like, you know, how competitive that environment must have been. You had those great Minutemen teams, and you were coming up as a coach for the Hawks. I mean, you really had two super talented teams in a great time for that conference.
Well, the game that John mentioned, and the young man takes the flop, and I did. I lost my mind. I ended up chasing this referee that was built like a soda machine. He had like a square shoulders and a head on top of it. And then I thought, oh my God, what happens now? And we were sitting there, and this was tremendous, because this was my friend who came into the locker room after everybody's gone, the media's gone, the players are on the bus, and I'm just trying to figure out how am I going to get on this bus and take a 5-hour trip back to Philly without losing my mind. And Cal walks in the locker room and goes, pats me on the back and goes, "You guys really should have won that game." And I looked up at him and go, "No bleeping."
Hey, Phil, I got 2 stories of you guys. Do you remember that locker room in St. Joe's that we had to walk through the stands to get to the locker room? I got 2 stories, 2 things I'd never do again that I did at St. Joe's. The first time we go in, we shot like 30% at halftime. And I walk in the locker room and I go, all right, we're in good shape. We will not shoot 30% the second half. Well, we shot 28% the second half. So I've never said that again, ever. And then the other one, I went up to the locker room and didn't go in. I just said, no, you want to play that way, you coach yourselves. And then I walked out. And then we lost worse in the second half. So I've never done that again. Those are 2 things I said I learned at St. Joe's that I would never do again. Hard place to play. Hard place. People right on top of you. We'd walk in, you know, hot. The locker room, you go upstairs, you didn't have a board. They didn't even have chairs. You had to sit on benches, metal lock. Oh, my gosh.
Mirror that was cracked. Right? The mirror was cracked in your locker room.
On purpose. On purpose.
But I will mention this because this was really special. When John got the job at UMass and he reached out to Bruiser Flint. So Bruiser Flint is a dear friend. Cal's a friend. We're growing into this. And I thought, you know what? If Brew is in, then I'm in. So I have always appreciated the thoughtfulness and the way that he treated Brew, because you know they say about all of us, Cal, we're through and through Philadelphians, but nobody bigger than Brew, right?
Yeah. Oh, he loves it. And John Hartnett, we all miss him. James Flint Sr. Come on, those are the icons along with Sonny. No, you know, John McGarry, these are all like icons that left us. And I don't know if anybody cared more about the kids than those 3 and Sonny and what they've done to make Philadelphia basketball what it was. John Hartnett, you remember his workouts? One-on-one foot. Come on now. I mean, how many players did he develop? How about James Flint Sr. having kids live with them because they had no home and giving them a chance at life? John McGarry, who did all the stuff, you know, I would say LaSalle and but he helped Philadelphia kids, even if they went to Temple. You know, it was, you know, at that time, and I know Sonny's still going strong, but at that time, Philadelphia, you think of the summer leagues and all that went on in Philly, come on. And it's provincial. So a guy like me, unless I had Bruiser Flint on my staff, I couldn't even go into Philly.
They consider you a Philadelphian now, Cal. Even though you're a Yankee fan and you're from Pittsburgh, they consider you you're one of us, Cal. So Cal, you have this, you know, whatever we want to call it, infamous incident with the late great John Chaney. And that's not part of this. I think that inside basketball or inside make a difference. What was the phone call like when you reconciled? I know you went to a roast or he came to a roast or.
No, yeah. What I did was it got so ridiculous. You know the competitive spirit. And was there a more competitive coach than John Chaney?
No.
I mean,
fought for every inch.
And if you challenged him, what would he do?
He would lose it.
Yeah, he comes after you. That situation happened, and I regretted it because it made us all look bad. It made coach look bad, it made me look bad, made our sport coaches in general, and I wish it hadn't happened. And I called him probably a week after, maybe 2 weeks after, and I said, they're roasting me in New Jersey. Why don't you roast me? Let's put this thing behind us. And he came and roasted me, and he was unbelievable. And then that was done. That was behind us. He and I stayed in touch over the years. I'd call him once a month. One time, his birthday, I didn't call him until later in the day. He said, "Where's the call, man? Why would you wait so long?" I was at his funeral, which was really kind of amazing. And I always respected, like I said, you have to look, if you're taking over me when you mess, what was Temple doing? How did they do it? Well, you know what? He took a chance on kids. He took certain kids, and then he coached them. He played anybody, anywhere, anytime. And then I kind of stole that and said, that's our motto. We're going to play anybody. And the only way we got it going at UMass was to follow his model and what he did. And that's what we did. We just said, if they could be number one in the country, why can't we? I know what you did at St. Joe's, where you got those kids. Were they all Philadelphia kids, Phil, when you guys made your run?
Delonte West from DMV. The other starters were three Philadelphians. I'm drawing a blank on. So Delonte, Jameer, Dwayne, John Bryant was from DMV. But here's a great example. When I sat with John Bryant's family, he's now an assistant with the Chicago Bulls. Cal, when I sat with his family, he had only Division II scholarships. And they looked at me and said, are you sure? The family looked at me and said, are you sure that he's a Division I player? I said, well, Mark Bass, I saw a workout. Mark Bass recruited you hard. And the kid said, and the family, I don't know if I'm a Division I player. I just said, well, trust me. And then I'll never forget in 03, 04, walking through the training room one day, the kid said to me, Coach, I cannot believe that I start on the number one team in the country. But what you did, Herndon, and like Lou Rowe. How could Lou Rowe be successful? He was 6'5", right?
Well, he had a heart. He was
no. I know that.
Yeah. He was just down here. He came down and spent like 3 days with us. But how about how good the league was then? Oh my gosh! I mean, you think about what you just said. We were number one. Temple was number one. You were number one. We're not talking number one in the Atlantic 10. We're talking in the country. And we were playing each other. And you remember McGonigal Hall? The guys hanging it over your baskets and waving in the end zones? What are you talking about?
Guys pointing in your huddle going, yo, what about the two-play? You should run the two-play right now. It'll work. Oh, man. Cal, let's switch gears for a second. And I think it's little known that you are the president of the NABC. We've been on the board together for a long time, and I have always appreciated how you looked out for the profession. Has that changed in your presidential role? Where are we with the profession? Not the game. You have always been interested in the guy that coaches Drexel or Wagner or Marist or Southwest Texas State, whatever it would be. You have a gift for caring about the profession. Has it changed at all now as the president?
Well, no, it hasn't, but it's because I was at all levels. And I know what it means and the how hard it is and how You just want someone to make sure they know what your issues are. But as the president, I got to kind of listen more and yes, lead, but not first, if you know what I'm saying. I've gotta listen, but what a bad time to be the president of the NABC. Oh my gosh, I'd like to abdicate. I mean, right now with NIL, with this transfer, every player is a free agent every year. Every player is a free agent every year, and there's no salary cap. What? And so trying to get this um, in balance, you're counting on other people. I'd still like to say, what can we do? And I mean, you remember some of those calls. Let us lead on this. Well, we're not smart enough. They know more than we do. There's lawsuits, and I think we should have stepped in that void and forced the issue of how this should play out, because now I'm not sure where this goes. And normally, Phil, you and I could kind of predict, read tea leaves,
Yes.
and know how things would play out. You and I knew that if we didn't do something, you remember us talking about APR? And we're like, APR? Who cares about APR? When you put the transfer
Never is it
portal,
stated anymore.
yeah, I mean, and with this NIL, it's like the Wild Wild West. And we knew it 4 years ago, 5 years ago, where this was going. So I'm like, the other thing with the game, do we go to quarters? Do we do more NBA so we're on a playing field with everybody else? Do we because I saw 2, 3 French kids get drafted early, where that was always our kids, my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, are we not spending enough time with our own players? Are we putting restrictions that are hurting American kids and players? How do we do this so it's all the same everywhere, yet keep what we are in college sports? The tournament is so important. My team got beat in the first round, where my teams had never been beat before. Well, we were playing against older teams. And you know what? Things are changing. We coaches have to change with that. I can't have as many freshmen as I've had in the past because the other teams are too old. But the other side of it is, how do we change, make this game better for the players? And I always come back to, if you do right by the players, you're doing right. If we're always doing something to, this is what's best for the programs and all, it never seems to work. And the NCAA has done those things and have gotten sued. How many times, Phil?
Dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and they have never, Cal,
Won.
they've never won a lawsuit.
Well, and when they went before the Supreme Court, now you have to understand, the Supreme Court hadn't been a 9-0 vote since busing in the 60s. There had never been a 9-0 vote. They voted 9-0 against the NCAA. That tells you we got an issue. We got a problem. And it's up to us to protect what we're doing, protect the kids, protect the sport. And in my role, protect coaches.
Yes.
To make sure that, what we're doing, because right now, everything is falling on the coaches. NIL transfer portal. Is it falling on the ADs? Phil, is it?
No, sir.
Is it falling on the president?
No, sir.
Is it even falling on the NCAA?
No.
It's all on coaches right now. And, having a administration that understands what you're going through and working with you, so that you can do the things you're going to have to do. But right now, we're not in a good place, because there's no guardrails. If there were guardrails, we're fine. I'm telling you, I'm coaching like I've always coached, challenging kids, trying to get them to play unselfish, and all the things we're doing. Yesterday was we beat Kansas in a scrimmage or a exhibition game. It's an exhibition game. Now it's packed and people were excited and all that. But we had some arrogance yesterday in practice. You think you've done something? You've done something? They didn't have their big player, and you beat them, and they could have beat you anyway. And so, all the stuff, the coaching, all that gets in the way of what we do. My goal, they talk, hey, I want to help 25, 30 more families before I'm done. That's what I want to do. And if I'm helping families, we'll win. We'll win what we're supposed to win, what we want to win through the players that we're helping. And so, I just don't want, this has become transactional. Phil, you think of the lives, the homes you went in, and the lives you changed. That's what we do. It's transformational. What we're doing too much now is transactional. I'm going to pay you this, you come in and do this. And I'm trying to make this still transformational. Think of ways that we can do this and get away from all that other stuff.
So John, I obviously I've scripted out some of the questions, and this next question was exactly in that world. You have for years and years and years and years always promoted the players and their families for their futures, not for their current, but for their futures. Add on the unwavering support you've given the state of Massachusetts, the city of Memphis, all that you did at Kentucky, and I know you're doing it at Arkansas. How have you managed to do this while still pursuing national championships? Like, you make a difference in the players' lives, their families' lives. You're making a difference in all of these communities that you're in, and yet you're pursuing a national championship. How has John Calipari managed to make a difference?
Well, first of all, I think if we're in the position we're in and all we do is watch tape and think about basketball, we cheat the position because we have a chance to move people to right. The other piece of this, Phil, is giving young people the tools they need to succeed the rest of their lives. Their basketball life is going to end at 35, 36 if they have an unbelievable run. It may end when they're done with us. But do they have the tools that they need? Do they understand nothing is giving to them? It's what they earn. And what I told, you know what I said to my team yesterday? In basketball, that's my wife in the background. And in life, you get what you deserve. So if you're not willing to sacrifice and spend time, if you think you're going to fool somebody to move up, you're out of your mind. You get what you deserve. If you're in this practice waiting to leave and can't wait till it's over, do you really think you deserve to play well? Do you think in your mind you're going to deserve to do well? I think all the stuff, the tools about being a great teammate, being a servant leader. I also want to say, Phil, we're both Catholic. I'm a poor, miserable sinner. You know that. But we're both Catholic. And and I know the best sermon that we've ever heard had no words. There were no words. It was watching, and it was the action of what they're doing and the impact they have. And you're trying to do that as a basketball coach, put them in positions to see joy, to see the impact you have on other people, to see you serve from helping, and it's more about the impact excuse me, you can have. So giving them the tools, and then saying, we just went to Pine Bluff and Hot Springs. We called it the tour, and we ended up doing Samaritan's Feet event in both towns, and we gave away about 5,000 pair of shoes, and the kids did it. They were there. They took the shoes off. They washed the feet. They did all the things. That is a sermon without words. The things we do for Christmas with families and Thanksgiving, they feel that and they understand leaving us that you want to create joy. That's what you do. So it's more than that. Now, the other side is people say, Phil, I don't care about winning. He only cares about the kids. He doesn't care about winning. He just wants to help kids. And if they pin that on me, I'm fine. It's just not true. What you said, you can do both. One is not at the expense of the other. And if you do it right, you can get the Final Fours, win national titles, do those kind of things. But now you better have an older player. I think do you remember us talking in those meetings, Phil, about how freshmen were going to get absolutely screwed in this? That there would be less freshman scholarships because kids would wait for coaches would wait on
No
transfers.
question.
Didn't we say that would happen?
No question.
And look what's happened. I mean, they're not signing young guys. They're like waiting. And, they're waiting. And even where I would sign 6, 7 freshmen, I'm signing 3 or 4 now because I have to make sure I have an older team so we can win at the highest level.
I started it with he has given more than he's taken, and that to me is the measure of a Hall of Famer. When you give more than you take, and John Calipari does that.
Bill, I appreciate everything you've done. You've been on every committee. You've done all the stuff to help this sport. And aside from being an unbelievable coach that the players knew they could count on, and coaching in a tough situation. I mean, St. Joe's was a hard job. And you know what's crazy, Phil? The campus grew up with the basketball program. It wasn't the other way around. It kind of gone into. I go to St. Joe's now, and I'm like, holy geez, this is a little bit different than it was when we first started coming down here. And so it's great to see, and the stuff that we talked about today. I've been blessed. My best players, and I bet you would say this, have always been great guys, which
Yes.
meant I could coach them. And I think that's part of the recruiting process. You're not going to take bad guys. And the greatest thing for us is to see you're talking about your assistant or your player being an assistant in the NBA. People don't understand. We know where all of our guys are.
Yes.
We know where they are. I mean, Harper Williams calls me the other day. We're talking back to UMass days. Francois Furman's called me the other day. They want me to do this. Edgar Padilla and Goodell Padilla are coming in next Friday. These are all guys from my UMass days. Arthur Barkley. You know what's crazy? I'm coaching 4 players that I coached their dads. Now, I don't know if that means I'm an old fart or I did okay. And then I'm coaching Carter Knox, who I coached his brother, Kevin Knox. And so as we go through this, I mean, the wins and losses and championship, yeah, I'm fighting or I wouldn't still be doing this. But the relationships and the impact. And how about the impact they had on us, Phil? I mean, think of the life we've been able to lead because their families chose to have their sons play for us.
No
Come on.
question about it.
I mean, this is, that's why I want this sport. We're screwing it up right now. We cannot screw up the NCAA tournament, but we're screwing up. This is, quit using NIL. It's pay for play.
Amen.
It is. And whether it is they need to be employees, I don't know. I'm trying to coach my team right now. But the way this is going, well, you're only going to have so much money and football's going to get so much. Is anybody talking about Title IX? I mean, wait a minute. And then if that's the case, that if that's all a basketball coach has, he's going to go figure out a way to, it's not sustainable right now the way this is. And I don't have all the answers because I'm not thinking about it 24 hours a day. But let's not screw this up. You just saw Tony Bennett said, you know what?
Enough is enough.
Yeah, but you know what he wanted to do, which all sounded good, and so did Coach Saban. They wanted to give every kid the same, right? Because that's how we've always coached. Every kid's treated the same way. You know, you may deal with them different, but they're going to be they're no different in our eyes from the first guy to the 12th. That ain't working. This ain't communism. It's just not. And so it's, how do we do this the right way? How do we still reward kids? What do we do to make this right? And we've got to come up with something and not worry about lawsuits, because that's why we don't move when we're afraid.
No question. All right, Cal, one final one. One final one, and it's not whether your Yankees will come back and create a Game 6 and Game 7. I'm not asking you that. Cal, who's made the difference? Who made a difference to a young John Calipari? Who's out there that made that difference?
Well, let me just say, the opportunity I had as a young coach to go to Kansas and be hired by Ted Owens. And I asked him at the time, he said, I was working the basketball camp. I want you to stay on my staff. And I said, as an assistant, yeah, I want you to be my volunteer assistant. And I said, well, how much does that guy make? And then I worked for Larry Brown, who, as a basketball coach, had more impact on me than anyone on how he did things. Said to me early, if you care about kids and you genuinely care about kids, you'll always have a job. But the other side of it is, I wouldn't have wanted to grow up any other way. Dad was a baggage handler. Mom worked at the high school cafeteria. The house we lived in was $13,000. The mortgage was $63 a month. But all of us in our neighborhood, we were all the same. Our families were all the same. And never had a credit card, not really vacation. You had to work to eat. If you didn't work, how many times did we get booted out of the house? Get out of here, go do something, get with your friends.
Come back at dinner.
Did you ever call before going to a friend's house? No, you just knocked on the door, you went over, what's going on? And so I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. My mom was a pay it forward, and it kind of got me to be that way. Didn't matter what you had, but you were always going to share it with somebody else. And
that's right.
The good things that happened to you, you pass on to somebody else. So I've been blessed. I mean, I've gotten way more than I deserve. Hopefully I've been a good steward, could probably do way more than I do. But what's happened for us, the relationship with you, having a friend that we've called each other over the years, good times and bad times. And so all I would say is to young coaches out there, just, you got to bear with us right now when we get this thing pointed in the right direction, including on the court, the rules and how we do this to make it so that all over the world it's being played the same way. And then how we deal with the amateurism or lack of in college basketball.
And I'll finish with this, Cal. Thank you for our friendship. Thank you for the conversations. But most importantly, thank you for the joy that you bring to this game and to the people that have always surrounded you, and the joy that I get when I see your name pop up and say, I don't know where this is going to go, but we're going to have a conversation that's going to end up with some laughter. So thank you, Cal.
Thanks, Phil.
So much for being on a tight schedule.
I was going to say, I said, you can put it as simply as this. We said 20. He gave us 40. Could have gone for an hour and 40. I mean, we had questions we didn't even get to, and that's how much.
And wait till I hear who's next week. That might be a triple header.
part of me, I love it as a basketball preview. We are barreling towards the start of the season. We got to talk to him. But, man, if we could have set this up in July and just have you two just absolutely shoot the breeze for God knows how long, I think every minute would have been worth it.
Maybe he'll be a repeat guest.
We'll give him a
we don't
break.
do repeat. Like, we're not a show that goes off the air and then we'll be back.
That was, I wanted to get into a little bit of just like the expectations and the excitement for a fresh start and everything at Arkansas. I'm sure he hears that every day. So really just reminiscing the memories, really hearing you two, both stewards of the game that have been able to carry it to bigger and better places over the years. I know a lot of this conversation has been where the game is headed with NIL, whether it's pay for play, whether they become employees. It's very difficult to really suss out exactly where things are going to go. But I feel like as long as we can hold firm with people in the game like Cal that are able to just make sure they're looking out for the kids and what's best for them and trying to help them every step of the way, then it can only end up in a good place.
And one of the beauties is next Monday night, the ball's going to go in the air all over the country, and we're going to be watching with bated breath, particularly at Penn State and Bryant and places that are near and dear to our heart. But it's going to be back to the game and not the periphery, and that's what I'm excited about.
Just hoops.
Just hoops.
Just hoops. That's all we can ask for, right? Well, speaking of hoops, I know there's a few people out there wondering where in the world is Phil Martelli. You had another busy week that included a lot of basketball.
Busy week. I had an opportunity last Friday to fly out to Minnesota for the Minnesota Basketball Coaches Clinic. I was hosted by Ron Larson, 600 coaches on a Friday morning, all levels, youth coaches, junior high, high school, boys, girls, and I was able to share in 2 segments with them. And then I was followed by Don Showalter, who runs USA Basketball, the youth division, and it was a pleasure. Got on a plane, got home early, by the way. I got home early, and I went to the Widener Sports Hall of Fame dinner, and many great Widener alums being inducted for all their achievements in multiple sports, male, female. And I have a tremendous regret. In the room at the Widener Sports Hall of Fame dinner was the great college football Hall of Famer. He's a candidate now for Canton Pro Hall of Fame, Billy White Shoes Johnson. And what does the dope do, meaning me? I forget to get a picture. And so I have all this, I don't even know what they're called, platforms or ways to get, and I forgot to get a picture with my main man, Billy White Shoes. And you know what? He still looks like he could dance. And if you're young enough that you don't know Billy, then go on YouTube. He's the original guy that danced in the end zone while he was at Widener. On Saturday and Sunday, hoops. Mike Doyle, Pencrest shootout. I was honored that he asked me to stop by there. And Dinos Trigonis came in from the West Coast and ran a freshman, sophomore, All-American camp in Wilmington, Delaware, and I was able to get down there. So I'm getting some basketball in.
You're getting plenty of hoops in.
I'm getting some hoops in, but
you're getting plenty of hoops in, man.
Now it's time to look ahead.
There's another big week ahead for you as well. You got some fun things going on. Why don't you clue us in?
I'm headed up to Lancaster, the F&M basketball tip-off dinner. I was asked by the coaches up there if I would come make an address to their teams and to their families and to their benefactors. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to have an opportunity at the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame. I am I'm the sub MC for that event. But listen to this group. The honorees include Jay Wright, Ray Didinger, and NFL Hall of Famer Andre Reed.
It's a good list.
Where did Andre Reed go to college?
He went to... Wait, he's from Allentown.
Come on.
And he
Come
went
on.
to we talked about this on the phone yesterday. Now
I'm well aware of that.
It's early for me, man. You know, I'm not usually up this early. You got to forgive me. It's yeah, I'm lost. You got to
Kutztown.
Oh my! I knew.
And
it
most
was
importantly, if you please choose to forget everything else that you've seen or you've heard on any episode, where I'm going to be Tuesday is where I need all of you to be Tuesday, if you have not already done so, along with the 50 million others who have done this. And that's not an exaggerated number. Tuesday, most important assignment for next week, vote. Please make our communities better by being engaged.
I have two. Number one, first, listen to our last episode with Dr. Randall Miller, historian, political scientist from St. Joseph's University. He will clue you in on exactly what you should be paying attention to for Tuesday. And then Tuesday, you got to get your butt to the polls.
No question about it.
That is the simplest and easiest way that you can make a difference for us right now is make sure you find yourself to a voting booth on Tuesday. And another way you can make a difference, you can head on over to pnjmakeadifference.com. That is Phil's website where you can check out his story, you can share your story, and you can get linked up with Phil and really have an opportunity to make a difference in your community, whether it is your business, whether it is your school, whatever it may be. He's hoping to do that. You know, he spent his, about 50-ish years making differences on basketball courts, and you said enough of that. I want to try and help elsewhere. We'll go to his website, and I promise you that is exactly where you can help him make a difference. We do got to talk about this next guest. I know people were amped about this one. This was a big one. Well, it's kind of a bit of a doubleheader here, a 1-2 punch that is definitely going to have people talking for sure.
We will have a Hall of Fame coach next week who has been a friend for 50 years.
Since the beginning.
50 years. Gino Auriemma and I have been friends. We're going to catch up. I lost track of him. I wasn't sure of how his career went, and then I was able to read up on, what's that, Wikipedia? I was able to read
it's helpful, yeah.
Yeah, I was able to read up, and so I'll be prepped. I'll have some good questions.
You weren't sure if he was still coaching.
I didn't know exactly how he had done, but he's come a long way from being the JV coach at Bishop Kenrick High School to the greatest women's coach of all time.
It is quite a journey. Quite a journey for just a couple of kids over there at Kendrick. I mean, really, really impressive. That is next week, of course. We are so pumped to have Gino on. And like I said, we think this episode's going to be long. I don't know if I'm hoping our podcast hosts allow us to upload that next episode next week, because that thing might be a bit of a doozy. And if you're looking for us, you can, of course, find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all major platforms. Give us a 5-star rating if you're on there, if you don't mind. We're also on YouTube at Make a Difference Pod. Feel free to subscribe, throw us a like, maybe even comment. We're always welcome to any
suggestions.
Constructive criticism is always welcome on this show.
Coach us up.
Be gentle, but yeah, you know, as he's trying to coach you up, feel free to coach us up. We're working through this thing together. We are Make a Difference Pod on Instagram and TikTok as well. Make a Diff Pod on Twitter. We still have a handful of people checking us out right now live. That's exactly where they're watching us, probably most likely on X. I might have said Twitter. That we'll never.
That's not the same thing.
They switched it. I'll clue you in after the show, but yeah, people are going to be calling it Twitter forever.
If it's a big deal, then clue me in.
Yeah, and most importantly, Phil_Martelli on Instagram. That is exactly where you get the Martelli Minute every single morning. It's a great way to start your day and get yourself ready to go make a difference. Go conquer the day.
That's it. Just all of you, please, please, please vote, and please make a difference. Start with your family. Go to your community. Go to your schools, go to your businesses, but you all have that ability. Just let it out. Unleash it.
Perfectly said. Well, Cal took plenty of our time, and we're so appreciative of the time he joined us. That's another Make a Difference podcast.
Not bad.